We're going to talk about India being on the moon today. Hey, because why not? It seems like the moon's a pretty happening place. So why not? Why not tell us that India's on the moon? Sovereign says Bollywood music. You know what I want to see? I want to see a Bollywood like stage production like on the moon. Like, can you do a 2001 Space Odyssey remake, but a Bollywood version? Where there's like dancing and making out and weird Indian music. People moving their heads and gyrating in particular strange fashions. That's what I want to see. That's the movie I want. I want the Bollywood on the moon version. So anyway, let's get through this article. I have to read it to you guys. Because, look, here's the question. How many people here knew that India's on the moon? Well, they are. Apparently. I mean, at least that's what #science is telling me. All right, let's read it. Oh, God. This article's entitled. This is from the BBC, everybody. Just so you know, this isn't some like hacky fucking media conglomerate. No, it's BBC, the British Broadcasting Channel. All right. This says Chandrayaan-3. Historic India moon mission sends new photos of lunar surface. Oh, so guys, they have the balls to call it photos now, not images. They're just going to straight up lie, because you guys know a photo is short for photograph. Well, photograph is a light image. Photo means light, and graph means image. So they're actually telling you it's a photograph. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. The images show craters on lunar surface getting larger and larger as the spacecraft draws closer. Well, of course. I mean, wouldn't it? Isn't that how, I don't know, vision works? It's three-dimensional reality. When you get closer, things... Anyway. Chandrayaan-3's lunar and lander and rover are due to reach the surface on August 23rd. Oh, wow. So there's a lander and a rover. No people, though. Not yet. If successful, India will be the first country to perform a controlled soft landing near the South Pole. Of course, there's a pole. Anyway, let's continue. It will also become only the fourth to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the US, the former Soviet Union, and China. Good job, India. Not bad. I mean, you're out of the medal. You know, you didn't get the gold, the silver, or the bronze. But fourth isn't bad. Hey, considering you're India. I mean, I look at the US, I look at the Soviet Union, I look at China. They're apparently superpowers. So, not bad. I wouldn't mind being the fourth. You know? It's not bad. Let's continue. After the spacecraft orbited the Earth for about 10 days, it was sent into the translunar orbit last Tuesday and successfully injected into the lunar orbit on Saturday. Wow. So you see how they do it? First, it has to sling around the Earth like a bunch of times. I don't know, maybe to build velocity. I think that's how they say you get to the moon. And then you sling yourself all the way out perfectly towards the moon. And then if you're really good at it, you can successfully, quote unquote, be injected into lunar orbit. Oh, don't you love the bending and warping of space-time? I mean, it seems pretty complicated to bend and warp space-time, but hey, apparently we have it all figured out. Who knew? Who knew? Let's continue. India's space research agency, called the ISRO, said that all checks showed that the Chandrayaan-3 was in good health. Well, that's good. It also pointed out that this is the third time in succession that ISRO has successfully injected a spacecraft into lunar orbit. What's with this term, injected into lunar orbit? I don't know. I've read a lot of these #science, NASA, and other space agency articles, and I've never heard them use the term injected when talking about any type of orbits. Well, let me continue. Scientists say Chandrayaan-3, the third in India's program of lunar exploration, is expected to build on the success of its earlier moon missions. Right, just so you know, guys, I should have said this earlier. Maybe I did. India's been to the moon, before, guys. This isn't the first time India's been to the moon. It's old hat for them. This is apparently the first time they're doing, a soft landing. Not just, crashing something into it. Let's continue. It comes 13 years after the country's first moon mission in 2008, which discovered the presence of water molecules on the parched lunar surface and established that the moon has an atmosphere during the daytime. Oh! Thank you, India. But wait, didn't the U.S. send men to the moon 6 times in the late 60s and early 70s, and a bunch of other missions there before and after with probes and stuff, and the Soviets and China? But it was you, India. Thankfully, it was you that discovered that not only is there apparently water molecules on the lunar surface, but the moon has an atmosphere during the daytime. Well, that's weird. I thought the moon didn't have an atmosphere. Weren't we there during the lunar daytime? I saw the lunar sunrise from the Apollo missions. But I don't know. Apparently now the moon has an atmosphere, at least during the daytime, and it was India who told us that in, 2008. Unbelievable. Chandrayaan-2, which also comprised an orbiter, a lander and a rover, was launched on July 19th, but it was only partially successful. Its orbiter continues to circle and study the moon even today, but the lander rover failed to make a soft landing and crashed during touchdown. Oh, gotcha. So they almost did the same thing 4 years ago. They fucked up. But the orbiter still continues to, apparently endlessly circle the moon. But they did it this time, guys. With this third attempt here, they got the lander and the rover to fucking work out. So weird. Such bullshit. Alright, let's wrap this up. ISRO chief, some Indian name, has said India's space agency had carefully studied the data from its crash and carried out simulation exercise to fix the glitches on Chandrayaan-3. Which, by the way, cost $75 million, dollars. The lander weighs, a bunch of weight, blah, blah, blah. Now this craft has entered the moon's orbit. Scientists will begin reducing the rocket speed gradually to bring it to the point where allow the soft landing, blah, blah, blah. And now they're just talking about the details of the orbiting and the maneuvering. Gives a fuck. And they're showing a picture of what it looks like. It looks stupid. And that's it. I'm tired of this article, so I'm done with it. The interesting part, the thought that comes to mind when I read these articles is, I think like this. Why do we have these separate nations? Why do we have the U.S., this former, the Soviets, China, India, and now we have, all these private companies like SpaceX and all these other private companies that apparently now want to go to Venus. Why do we have all these companies, working independently? Wouldn't it be better if they worked together? And then people say, oh, no, Z, it's better that they work separately because it's kind of like, how the free market system works, competition, that the competition will generate innovation. That'll be the argument that the normie will give me. That, through all these separate entities and organizations trying to, get to the moon, the competition will drive technical innovation. But I'll say, well, is that what got us to the moon in the first place? I thought they marshaled all the resources, got the best scientists together, all those weird Operation Paperclip German scientists, Werner von Braun and the rest of the weirdos. And they all kind of got together and pooled their resources to make it to the moon. Wasn't it the same for the so-called Manhattan Project? Everybody pooled all the resources, all the greatest scientists, engineers of the time, and they made the nuke. How come every movie I see where there's like a space-based cataclysm, either an asteroid or aliens, I've seen the movie Independence Day. I saw the movie Armageddon, Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck. Armageddon's a good movie, guys. One of my favorites. Totally space-based propaganda, of course, but Armageddon is a stellar movie. Who's with me? Anyway, my point is, before I just digress too much, is that on all these movies, you see the narrative where the human race has to basically bind together in some allegiance to accomplish a goal. But no, apparently to go to Mars, to go to the moon, it's better off just separating all these great minds, these scientists, these engineers, these great thinkers, separate them into like 7 different organizations, and then let them all just like haphazardly figure out their way to the moon. Well, isn't it dangerous just to have people do like these multiple kind of like trial and error missions? Wouldn't more lives be lost? Don't we care about the human lives lost in space exploration? Apparently there's been 20, we read that article, 20 lives lost in human space exploration. Hey, and 3 of them never left the pad with that whole Gus Grissom Apollo 1 incident. Anyway, I just wonder about these things. Or maybe have 2 competing organizations. But why do you have like, I don't know, it seems like there's like 7 or more now. Not only do you have SpaceX, which is the Elon Musk one, but you got whatever that Jeff Bezos fucking one is. And then you had that Richard Branson guy one, remember him? And they're just the supposed private ones. What about the other private ones we don't know about? Apparently the same company that had that ill-fated Titan submarine implosion that was trying to go to the Titanic. Apparently the guy who owns that company is trying to send people to Venus. I guess the other planets are getting crowded. Apparently Elon Musk got Mars handled. I guess Mars isn't big enough for like 2, missions or, 2 colonies. So you got to do Venus now. Anyway, what do I know?